This is a Flying Cow production.
Well, hello and welcome back to the Great Film Challenge. I am your host, Clay Johnson, the Flying Cow himself, and this, of course, is the podcast where myself and my nephew Aaron are watching 100 films that are on this poster that he got for his birthday last year. Aaron, how we doing today, buddy?
Good. How are you?
Good. We are back talking about a new movie. The last time that we did this, we landed on the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Which is, one of the films on this poster that definitely, like I said, when we first started talking about this, a lot of the films on this poster you could also find on like the AFI 100 or something like that. You could not find the Rocky Horror Picture Show on the AFI 100.
Really?
No. It's more of what you would call like a cult favorite. It definitely has a cult following. It's probably a pretty big cult, but
Cult is in like just
cult is in
more general,
like not mainstream. Kind of like
so
this
kind of like indie.
kind of indie, kind of, I mean, honestly, very much this is kind of like the epitome of a cult classic because it was found and really championed by the counterculture.
Yeah.
Which is very much what this film is in vein of. We'll talk about it as we get into it, but this film is very much about bucking tradition and kind of poking fun at the mores that are thought of as the conventional or the right way to do things. It's very much kind of pushing against the traditional. But this was a film that was on your unseen list. But when we spun it, you said, "Oh, I think I've seen that."
Yeah, I don't remember how or when we put it on the unseen list, but after a bit of thinking about it, I had seen it. It was just been a few years.
Right. Well, and here's the thing. I will say, you might have seen it, but you definitely did not remember it very well because one of the first things that you said is, "Oh, I didn't remember this was a musical." And I have a feeling that most people, that's one of the things that they remember the most about this film.
But it had also been like several years ago. So.
Sure. But I think the music is one of the things that sticks with people the most about this film.
I enjoyed the soundtrack.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I will say even amongst people that enjoy this film and even celebrate this film, I think there have been a lot of people that have basically kind of called into question, like, not that it's not a film worth celebrating or that it's a film that is important. That's not anything that people have debated, especially those, like I said, that champion it. The thing that has been challenged is to whether or not it is actually a good film.
Oh, really?
I will say, I think it really just depends on the scale that you're using, because we talked about this as we were watching it.
Yeah.
On traditional lines, I mean, the music is odd, but I think it's actually pretty good music. I think the songs are pretty
Yes.
good. What is in question, though, is the majority of the people that are in this film are not traditionally, quote, good singers. I mean, obviously there are exceptions. I mean, Tim Curry, who kind of steals the film, he
Yeah.
came from theater. He came from that
Uh-huh.
musical theater background. And so I think that he is without a doubt the strongest performer in the film. But then you've got, your leads. You've got Susan Sarandon, who I think this is, at least as far as I'm aware, one of the only musicals that she's ever been a part of.
Yeah.
Um
I wouldn't know.
yeah, and Barry Bostwick, I will say, I think that he, because of this film, is kind of I mean, he apparently has had success in musical theater, winning a Tony.
Oh, wow.
So, he does have that kind of background. But he doesn't sing much in the film.
No, he doesn't really.
Like I said, Susan Sarandon actually has a whole song to herself.
Uh-huh.
And you can tell her voice is not the traditional, singing voice.
Yeah.
And even some of the other occupants of the house that sing, it's more caricature-y than
Yeah.
it is, your traditional singing. But at the same time, I think that's part of the film. It's
Yeah.
not, I think if they were all classically trained, and I'm sure that there have been presentations that have been done by professional singers and things like that.
Yeah.
But I think within the film, it was intentional that it was more important for the kind of boundary pushing elements to be more real
Yeah.
than, more true than the singing, and I feel that. So, on the scale of, is it a good film, I don't think that you can judge it by traditional
Yeah.
traditional measures. But what do you think of this film?
I think bringing in different like actors and such and all that with different skills, but not like mainstream ones or the immediately, oh, these guys are good, let's put them in there, outside of like, I guess Tim Curry, even though they kind of put him up there,
Yeah.
added to the idea or the support of counterculture in the movie that just kind of hung throughout it.
Right.
And I really liked that.
Right. I mean, I will say, to give lip service to it, I mean, we even talked about this before we got on the mic. This is not a film with a traditional narrative structure. I mean, it kind of has a story. Yeah, before we got on, you were like, I don't know that I really remember the plot. And the fact of the matter is, there isn't much of one.
No.
I mean, we do start the film with our kind of audience surrogate characters, Brad and Janet, who are, basically milquetoast, Midwestern, white
Yeah.
good old, salt of the earth people who know nothing, haven't experienced nothing, and therefore are the exact definition of good,
Yeah.
and they are on their way to see a professor and then break down on the side of the road and go into a house full of people that they have never seen or encountered before,
Yeah.
and everything that
Is
they
just a whole
believed or
shock.
thought about themselves is challenged challenged, destroyed, shaken to the core.
Yeah, just eradicated.
Yeah.
And then it just goes from there.
Yeah. So really, like I said, this film is about kind of destroying that illusion
The wall.
of
The wall.
the I'm sorry, are you saying law or wall?
Wall.
Wall?
Yeah.
What do you mean by the wall?
It's basically the same thing. Like, yeah. Finish what you were gonna say, because I think I might have been thinking something different.
Well, I'm just saying that it's kind of about destroying the illusion of, this perfection, because it's all lies.
Yeah.
They're lying to themselves about these because, this artifice of perfection really hides ugliness of a different sort.
Uh-huh.
So, if you've got one ugliness against another ugliness, who's to say that this fake ugliness, this ugliness that you're hiding with fakery is better than an outright, at least visual, not necessarily ugliness, but it's described as ugliness because it doesn't fit the norms. But what were you trying to say?
Essentially the same thing.
Okay.
Like, the illusion and wall could mean the same in this space, honestly. It's just, I'm probably thinking of it in a slightly different way, but it's still the same message.
Right.
The wall or the illusion is that, well, at least for them, where they're from, considering the people they were.
Yeah.
Is that they have to appeal to the general consensus, the conformity.
Right.
Especially considering who they are and where they're from.
At the beginning of the film, they're at a wedding, and before they leave, they get engaged. But at any point, did you feel like it was something that either of them actually wanted? Or did it seem to you like they were just doing what was expected?
I kind of felt like that's what they wanted. But
was it a
entirely...
want that they understood?
Probably not.
No. And that want probably just came from, well, this is what we're supposed to do now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I will say, at least for Brad, it felt very much like, oh, I'm supposed to do this now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I'm going to do. And so, like I said, throughout the film, those kind of expectations are challenged every turn, and the film itself is, like I said, very counterculture, very queer, very, challenging of these thoughts and ideas. And, it ends up that this house is full of aliens and, homicidal characters and things like that. But,
it's the cat.
Okay. Yeah. Aaron's door started opening by itself, and I wasn't sure.
It's not the ghost this time.
Not the ghost this time. That's good to know. But, what were some of your favorite things about this film, Aaron?
I'm trying to decide if it was a lot or specific things because I love the movie in whole.
Sure.
The just because it's funny,
Mm-hmm.
the time warp bit.
Well, I mean, that is.
I wouldn't say that's a favorite, but it was enjoyable. just
Sure. I will say
watching
I
them.
think that is easily the most famous song from this film.
Yeah, it came from the film, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that all of the songs were written for this film. But yeah, it is. Like I said, a famous. Like before I even saw this film, I had heard that song.
Yeah.
I mean, were there any other songs that stuck with you, or is that kind of the one that sticks with you the most?
There was another one. I'd have to. I don't know where I put my phone. It was one of the songs earlier on the track. It was right
Mhm.
after Dr. Frankenfurter sang his song, I think.
Before, because the one right before that is Time Warp.
No, I said after.
Oh, after.
Here, there's my phone. I'll pull up the soundtrack.
I mean, I've got the list right here.
Oh.
You've got. So it starts off with the opening number, which is just the lips in black.
Yeah. I honestly like the whole soundtrack.
which is such an interesting visual. But that's science fiction double feature.
Yeah.
And then Damn It, Janet, which is that very.
No, I didn't really care.
See, I enjoy that simply for and just the ridiculousness of the squareness of that whole thing. It's very much, showing the stereotypes in such a ridiculous way that it's hilarious, but at the same time it's not that far from the way that those things actually appeared.
Yeah.
It's like it just showing it, the actual situations is enough of a joke that you don't have to really make much more of a joke. Let's see. And then you've got Over at the Frankenstein Place, Time Warp, Sweet.
I think it might have been the third one. I don't remember it by sound, but it was either that or just the one Frankenfurter sang. So either track 3 or 5.
Sweet Transvestite.
Yeah.
The Sword of Damocles, which is the one that Rocky sings.
That's when he wakes up.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rocky was a funny character.
I found Rocky such an interesting character because he's really, he was created by Dr. Frankenfurter to really be, I mean, number one, it's very much a kind of a ripoff of Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah.
Obviously, Frankenfurter is Frankenstein.
Yes.
And Rocky is the monster.
Uh-huh.
There's actually even a scene later on where the character of Riff Raff, who is, the butler that lets them in at the beginning, and he's the one that talks like this.
Yeah.
Honestly, some of my favorite moments in songs come from him.
He was amazing.
Yeah.
Him and the maid lady. They were kind of weird.
Sure.
But I honestly didn't care because the movie's already weird enough.
Right. Yeah. But there's a scene where if you've ever seen the original Frankenstein from 1931.
I haven't yet.
So the assistant character,
like the Igor type character.
Well, here's the thing. Igor, the name Igor is not from the book.
Yeah.
It's from one of the movies, and I
Oh.
think it's either from Bride of Frankenstein or Son of Frankenstein. I think it's Son of Frankenstein,
Oh, okay.
because the assistant character in the original film was actually named Fritz,
Oh.
and Fritz was an asshole. Like, seriously, Fritz did, you know, the scene where Riff Raff kind of like menaces Rocky.
Towards the end with the funny looking ray gun.
Well, no. Before that, when, like, I think when he's just like sleeping, and Riff Raff
Yes.
just like messes with him and bullies him
Yeah.
until he goes down the elevator
I
shaft.
didn't understand him and the maid at the end. Were they just pissed at Rocky? They were like, was that just a goof at the
Well,
end?
I mean,
We're going
yeah.
to space.
I will say I don't know that this is a film that you can really make sense of the plot.
I don't
Because, like I
mind
said,
that.
it's really not the point.
Yeah.
At the end, it is kind of revealed that apparently they are like,
Aliens.
well, they're not. I mean, they're all aliens, but they're like security aliens. Like they're like
Uh-huh.
they're like the police or the FBI or whatever,
Yeah.
and they're there to not just take Frankenfurter back, but to kill him.
Yes.
So
And they did kill him and Rocky at the end, right? That's
they
what-
killed everybody except
Yeah.
for the humans. And I think that was just because they weren't in the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, it's not a plot that really, I mean, I think that there is a lot of symbolism that you can read into certain moments or things. Like I said, the whole bit with Riff Raff menacing Rocky is an exact, I mean, not moment for moment, but it is kind of an homage to the scene where Fritz straight up just abuses the monster in Frankenstein.
So does that contribute to his like uneasiness towards humans?
Oh, absolutely, because it's really, Fritz is really, outside of the doctor,
The cause.
the main human that he interacts with. So yeah, it
Oh.
definitely
Shapes him.
Well, what it does is it's like if you have an animal that has been, you know, never been taught to fear humans,
Uh-huh.
and then you know, throw a rock at it
Yeah.
or abuse it in any way, you've introduced fear now
Exactly.
into this animal's life. And, you know, it's going to be an intense fear because the first time that it was ever taught to fear, you were trying to actively harm it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely a contributing factor in that. But, you know, in this, that moment was really, like I said, just an homage to Frankenstein. But was there anything else about this film that you wanted to talk about? I mean, that's really what this film is just moments.
Yeah. No, I'm not sure, honestly.
All right.
I can't really think of any other specific moments that stood out or that were
Sure.
like, oh, this part.
Yeah. But you would say overall that this is a film that you enjoyed watching?
Oh yeah, one of my favorites actually.
All right. Good.
A lot
to
of
know.
these are gonna be my favorites. I can't pick one.
Sure. All right. Well, once again, want to make sure that people know about how to contact us. So, of course, you can do so on all of our socials at The Flying Cow Pod. You can also email at theflyingcowpod@gmail.com. Make sure to check out everything else that we are doing over there. And now, Aaron, it is time to figure out our next film in this challenge. So go ahead, sir. And which wheel are we going to spin?
Let's do Unseen.
All right, going for another Unseen. So here we go. Spin that wheel.
Okay.
a brrrr. Tick, 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 tick.
It's almost there. Okay.
Yay. What do we get?
Memento.
Memento. All right. That's a good one. I think you're going to like that
I
one.
probably will.
All right. Well, we will find out. But so next time we will be talking about Memento. But until that time, moo.